Hi, good afternoon or good morning to all of my classmates and also to Dr. Asong. So today my groupmates and I will be talking about the counselor as a person and also as a profession. So over here we have a case study to share with you guys. Okay, so I will be talking about explaining what the case study is all about. So this this victim is named Alexis. She is 12 years old. So the issue on hand here is sexual harassment. So Alexis is unusually developed, well developed for a 12-year-old, and she always found herself being the target of jokes and sexual comments about her physical development. So all the boys in her school would leer, they would jeer at her, and they would like brush up against her. And sometimes one of the boys, which is the leader, actually the leader of this gang, would grope her. So this is the recent incident that she is very concerned and uncomfortable about. So one day Alexis was trapped against her locker by a group of boys who made very crude and offensive remarks, and they wouldn't let her go, they wouldn't let her pass. So the leader of the group, which is the boy that groped her, was the same boy who groped her up her blouse when she was trying to go through a crowded hallway. And this boy very frequently harasses her. So she told her friends about what happened, but all her friends did was just they told her to ignore it and not to make a big deal out of it. So the complication is that Alexis's upbringing has conditioned her to think that she is the cause of her own harassment, that she is the cause of all these problems that is happening to her, and everything is her fault basically. She thinks that everything is her fault. And her parents have always told her that this is because her parents have always told her that she's always too loud and forward with the boys, and that her clothes are always too tight, stuff like that. And she wishes that she could just learn to ignore the attention, or at least develop like a sense of humor to what she faces on a daily basis and just like brush it off. Because of this, she doesn't want her parents to know, or basically anyone else to know, about this recent incident, because she feels that it will just confirm her parents' beliefs that she is too forward, too loud with boys, and that her clothes are too tight. So she basically is requesting confidentiality from her counselor. But the thing is, in most schools, if a student wants to make an official report regarding any incident that happens within school grounds, but at the same time, if that same student wants confidentiality and anonymity, what can the counselor do? Because what is the counselor's ethical and legal obligation towards the student and potential victims? Okay, so there are a few potential scenarios and also questions for everyone, including my group, about regarding this case study. So the first one is like what I said just now. If Alexis does decide that she wants to make an official report, is it possible that she remains anonymous? And okay, let's say that it is possible. Let's say that it is legal to remain anonymous. There are a few consequences following her wishing to be remaining anonymous, which is the most apparent consequence would be that this investigation of her case would be deterred. There would be a severe lack of evidence, and also it would be very, very hard for anything to be solved, basically. So if Alexis is made aware of these consequences of her being anonymous, but she still insists on having her confidentiality, what can the school counselor legally do? Like what can they do that doesn't go against any laws, any state laws, any school laws, anything? So, and then the next question is, what if everything is like past, everything is Alexis decides to remain anonymous, right? So what if the boy that is accused of groping Alexis just denies everything, and because the counselor like is not allowed to disclose who the victim is, what if his parents, the parents of the boy, demands the whole story from the counselor and also from the school. What if they demand the victim's name, so that and also like the details, basically all the details of what happened, so that they can answer the charges against their son. So like it's hard, you know. And then if is Alexis allowed to make her own decisions surrounding the sexual issue, like surrounding this whole sexual harassment incident, without her parents' knowledge? So is it possible to exclude her parents entirely, because like she doesn't want her parents to know, because her parents would just get mad at her, right, and say and blame her that it's her fault. And then the last one is, what is the counselor's legal and ethical responsibility to Alexis's parents? Yeah, regarding this situation. So there are a few reasons why counselors are ethically bound to inform Alexis's parents regarding the incident. The first one is because this is based on American school counselors' law, the ethical laws. Because the ASCA ethical standards for school counselors states that school counselors recognize their primary obligation for confidentiality is to the student, right? But balance that obligation with an understanding of the parents or the legal guardians and inherent rights to be the guiding voice in their children's lives, especially in value-laden issues. Counselors need to understand the balance. Counselors need to balance students' ethical rights to make choices, their capacity to give consent or assent, and parental or familial legal rights and responsibilities to protect these students and make decisions on their behalf. And then another reason is the school counselor's responsibility to the school administration. So according to ASCA, again, school counselors are supposed to report any incidents of bullying, dating violence, and sexual harassment to the school admin, because all of this is considered illegal because they're all minors, right? So everything is considered illegal under Title IX. Is that 5? I don't know. Under Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 or other federal and state laws in the US, and it requires interventions from the school admin itself. However, at the end of the day, it is ultimately the counselor's decision to inform the school administration, and they also have to rely on their own judgment.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Lim, and my part in this video is to convey Alexis's actions and decisions and relate them to existing research to hopefully help you understand why she was so hesitant about letting her parents find out about her pain. First up, children, or just people in general, are known to form their actions based on what they perceive the reaction could be like. In Alexis's case, her parents had preemptively and explicitly made clear how they would react if Alexis were to be sexually harassed. And there are very big air quotes here, due to the way she acts and dresses. So they essentially created a climate of fear and general taboo around the issue, which discourages Alexis from wanting to tell them about it. It can be said that Alexis is more afraid of her parents' reactions than the issue itself. This, unfortunately, is a highly common occurrence. The National Child Traumatic Stress Network, or the NCTSN, states that a reason children do not tell their parents when they are victims of sexually related issues is that they are afraid their parents might pin the blame on the child or literally just not believe the child at all. This is supported by Rosler and Wind, 1999, who cast doubt upon parents' reactions to issues of this nature. Parents who present an unsupportive and disbelieving front to their children are commonplace. However, in more extreme cases, Some parents outright reject the child's disclosure. As an extension to the previous point, the NCTSN also states that children feel reluctant to report instances of sexual abuse due to a fear of the parents' reactions if the child deems that the reporting would disrupt the harmony in the family or their immediate environment. Gonzalez et al. 1993 stated that children tended to disclose sexual abuse hesitantly during therapy, oftentimes releasing only partial information in an attempt to sort of test the waters before disclosing more. This hesitancy may be the result of anticipated reactions or reactions of the parents, which affects the willingness of the child to disclose the abuse. Retrospective analysis of childhood abuse reported in adulthood suggests that children are unwilling to disclose due to fear of familial rejection and disbelief. In Alexis's case, her parents had always considered her to be loud and forward with boys. Distel 1999 also found in a study that children tend to delay disclosures of sexual abuse if they are familiar with the perpetrator. In said study, up to 78% of its participants delayed their disclosure due to having familiarity with their perpetrator. Compounded with that is his findings that up to 89% of children with familiar perpetrators were likely to face unsupportive reactions from their parents, which would lead to reluctancy with disclosing their experiences with childhood sexual abuse. In Alexis's case, there is also an additional factor which contributes to this reluctance, the factor being that children aged 10 to 12 years are more aware of social norms and taboos, which may lead to feelings of shame and embarrassment of not preventing the abuse. To Alexis, this manifests as her feeling that she may be responsible for the harassment and that she had brought it upon herself by getting too close to boys, like her parents said. So after everything, the American School Council Association, ASCA, actually advises school counselors to understand the need to balance the students' ethical rights to make a decision, such as their ability to give consent and assent. This ensures that any action to be taken, if necessary, is appropriate and promotes the autonomy of the students while maintaining minimal breaches into confidentiality. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Azam, and I'll be presenting about the school counselor's point of view based on Alexis's sexual harassment case. In this case, the issue is whether or not the parents can be disclosed about the confidential information of Alexis's sexual harassment case when Alexis explicitly refuses to let her parents know about her problem. One of the biggest challenges faced by psychologists and school counselors are probably the need to constantly be updated about the latest state laws and regulations that surround minors' right of confidentiality, according to Reamer in 2003. It is very challenging as the laws and regulations of each state or area are different because of the differences in many factors, such as culture and legislative debates. So it is important to note that state laws vary across the country and even the world. So it is highly recommended for the school counselors to be aware of the existing laws and regulations. This also applies to the school rules that exist in the student handbook or other documents that contain the existing regulations in the school. It is also stated in the ASCA in 2016 that school counselors must inform parents or guardians of the confidential nature of the school counseling relationship between the school counselor and the student, which implies that the confidentiality regarding counseling sessions in the school has certain rules and regulations that vary according to the schools. For example, there are state laws that allow social workers to use their own judgments to decide whether or not to ask for consent of the parents of a child that has a drug or alcohol abuse problem. This way, the social workers are allowed to exercise their personal judgments to determine which way that is likely to result in the best interest of the clients in solving their problems. If the laws do not mention the stakeholders allowed to access the information regarding the counseling, then the counselor or the school administration is the one who decides whether the parents are allowed to breach the confidentiality or not. This is according to ACLU in 2014. And there are also states that explicitly forbid the disclosure to parents without the minor's consent. This law is perfect for minors that are afraid of their parents' reaction about their problems, such as those with substance abuse problems or sexual abuse. To be encouraged, they can be encouraged to seek professional help with this law. American School Counselor Association in 2016 stated that school counselors must provide effective, responsive interventions to address students' needs. It is stated as a justification for school counselors to protect the client's rights and needs during the counseling process, which means that Alexis's confidential information is protected from her parents to fulfill her rights and needs, as there are times when the minors clearly state that they don't want any information given to their parents. It is often because the information that is disclosed by the minors are related to drug abuse, teen pregnancy, sexual harassment, or even mental treatment, such as Alexis's case, which is sexual harassment. This challenge here is that the counselors need to be trusted by the clients to maximize the treatment. Otherwise, the clients are likely to be hesitant to tell important information about their problems, such as their feelings and thoughts. On the other hand, the counselors are bound to tell the parents of the clients about the major issues that their children are facing, as well as their children's safety during the procedure. The counselor's responsibilities to parents of the students include that the school counselor must respect the rights and responsibilities of custodial and non-custodial parent or guardians, and, as appropriate, establish a collaborative relationship with parents or guardians to facilitate students' maximum development, according to ASCA in 2016. This ethic code can be used as a justification for disclosing the information or any confidential information regarding the children's problem about the case in order to collaborate with them in guiding Alexis. So the school counselor and Alexis's parents can collaborate together in guiding Alexis. So Alexis can get both guidance from the school counselor and from the parents. But it is also important to note that the counselors must consider the client's best interests and preferences during the counseling sessions, cited by Kaufman and Barnett in 2015. In addition, it is also important to realize that the main job of the counselor is to achieve the goals of the counseling. For example, the counseling is less likely to reach the maximum effectiveness if Alexis knows that all her problems will be disclosed to her parents, that her sexual harassment problem will be disclosed to her parents, even if that the parents are trying to, even if the school counselor is trying to help Alexis to get the guidance from both worlds, which are from the school and also from the parents, but the school counselor needs to realize the best interests and preferences of Alexis, which is not to let her parents know about the case, because, as we know, Alexis's parents would be unsupportive of her problem because she explicitly told the school counselor that the parents are unsupportive of her problem, being too forward with the boys, that she would likely be the victim of a sexual harassment. So if her parents are disclosed with this information, Alexis's problem will likely worsen. because she's more likely to be scolded if she's likely to be scolded if her parents know about this sexual harassment case that she is facing. And fewer children are likely to attend counseling and share their thoughts and feelings freely to their counselor if they know that everything will be disclosed to other parties, such as including their parents or even other teachers. According to ASCA in 2016, school counselors must promote the autonomy of students to the extent possible and use the most appropriate and least intrusive method to breach confidentiality. If such action is warranted, the child's developmental age and the circumstances requiring the breach are considered, and as appropriate, the students are engaged in a discussion about the method and timing of the breach. So if the school counselor realizes that the involvement of parents will result in a significantly better outcome, the counselor can convince the minor to involve their parents in the case by guaranteeing the safest and friendliest approach after careful considerations of the minor's safety and well-being. So Alexis can be allowed to discuss when and how the breach of confidentiality is going to be, because if this case happens, if the school counselor realizes that the parents need to be involved in this matter. So while the rights of parents to their children still exist, they can be negotiated during the informed consent process. So the parents can be informed that Alexis is going through counseling sessions with the counselor, but Alexis must be given some degree of confidentiality, such as the information that would lead to Alexis being scolded, which is the cause of the case, which is the sexual harassment that she is facing. So the parents can be not informed about the cause of the case, yet the parents can be disclosed about the information about the impact of the problem, which is the constant stress that Alexis is facing, or the reduced academic performance that Alexis is facing. So the parents know the impact of the problem that Alexis is facing, but they do not know the cause of the case, because then they would be mad at Alexis. But this is also done after a discussion with Alexis, after discussing about how and when the breach of confidentiality is going to be. The privacy of their children during counseling can be agreed by parents most of the time after being persuaded to agree. So parents are often agree to respect the privacy of confidentiality during the counseling process. This is especially when the parents believe that the counselor has the same interests and values with the children's safety, according to Kucher et al. In 2007. So when the school counselors display the same belief, the same interest, and the same values with the children's safety of the parents, they're likely to believe the school counselor to handle this case. They're likely to believe that they will respect the confidentiality, the privacy that their children have. At the end of the day, the counselor is the one who decides, with careful considerations, whether or not the breach of confidentiality by Alexis's parents is the best solution to this problem. Thank you very much.